Scale insects come in a number of different types. Some of them are fairly large, soft, brown, and some of them can be shell-like and hard and white. One particularly bad actor is something called Boisduval Scale. And if you focus in here, you'll be able to see some of it. It's especially bad in cattleyas, and what causes it to be so bad is that it's developed resistance to a lot of pesticides over the years. So you find it, you treat it, it comes back. The easiest way to deal with this is, in a few plants, some alcohol and scrub it off. The first thing you want to do is remove all of the dried sheathing that you can get off, because these insects hide underneath that sheath. So we'll take all of this dried sheath off, and you'll notice there's a dried sheath here too. You want to remove that as well. Why? Because this growth might now have a couple of crawlers underneath it, just waiting to breed and produce a new infestation and travel up the pseudobulb. Once you get the dry sheaths off, you can take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, 70% by the way. At 90% you run the risk of damaging the cells of the plant, especially on soft foliage plants. Take a toothbrush, dip it in the rubbing alcohol, and then scrub the pseudobulbs. Dipping it periodically so that the toothbrush doesn't dry out. You want to get all leaf surfaces and pseudobulb surfaces, including that new growth. Be very careful, you don't want to break off the new growth that's right there. And you'll notice that if you look closely, there are some scale insects appearing on this leaf. They crawl up, secrete their shell, and begin to suck the plant juices on the leaf. So when you're cleaning this off, you want to make certain that you clean the leaves as well. When you finish this, a very thorough job, you'll have scrubbed every surface that you can reach. One time will not solve the problem. They'll be back. Depending on your temperature, that may be a couple of weeks, it might be a little longer than that. You'll start to see them again, and you'll need to go through and clean those plants up another time. If the alcohol doesn't work and the infestation is getting away from you, you'll probably want to try a pesticide. There are a number of them. The thing to remember is you want it rated for scale insects. If you use a pesticide that doesn't work on scale, it isn't going to work. You want to use more than one and rotate them. The reason for that is so that you don't build up immunity. The problem with Boisduval Scale is because one thing was used repeatedly and it became resistant to it. The other thing that you'll want to do is make multiple applications. You want those to be 10 days to 2 weeks apart. And why do you do that? That's because the insects that don't die in the first treatment mature and have young, and the young are then susceptible to a second treatment. That life cycle is about 10 days to 2 weeks. So if you treat once with one thing, 10 days later go through and do it again. 10 days after that, use a third material, a third treatment, or an alcohol scrub. All of that will help to keep the population of these insects down at a manageable level. For specific information relative to scale insects, you can see our website, the Orchid information section, and the Orchid basics sections, www.aos.org.